why that was so important is, so my wife and I, like, so my entire time as a consultant, my wife and I, as far as, especially for my consulting business, we have been trying to have a child. And so since 2018, we have been doing IVF.
Oh,
And so
wow.
we did it for 4 years. We had 9 failed IVF cycles, and we had 3 miscarriages. And so this whole time with him was like, it was a whole stressful pregnancy, for more
Hmm.
for her, but definitely for me, because it was one of those things to where, is this ever going to happen? Is this something going to go wrong? Because you would end up having all,
Right.
like, these things weren't working, and you were always getting the disappointment and going through the loss together and all those different things. So to the end, we were just on edge. And
Hmm.
so when he finally came out, everything was like, finally that relief had come. And so that was one of those things that definitely was a part of the journey. So, like, the last thing I'll pretty much say when it comes to some of these things is, a lot of time, whenever you're putting together a presentation, whatever focus you decide to get into, there always has to be a level of authenticity to what you're saying,
Yeah.
to your own, connected to your life. So if you think about, like, my first presentation, or beginning of my presentation, I always show the video of the different people, what they're going
Yep.
through, and all those different pieces.
Yep. We've used
And so the reason, part of, but so when I speak to that,
that. Hmm.
I'm literally drawing upon this experience. Like, and not just now, but like what it was as I was actually going through it. Um, to just give you perspective, so the last miscarriage that she had, I was doing my first workshop in San Diego, California, doing it in La Jolla. And so I texted her around lunch, because we had just did an implementation. And so I texted her around lunch to say, hey, how is everything going? What's the doctor report said? She said the numbers are going back down. I'm having another miscarriage. So he tells me that at lunch. And now I got to finish this presentation after I just learned that I lost another, opportunity to have a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, I literally, like, get off the phone with her and start looking up, like, counselors, to, I need therapy, like, I need help, like, I really just knew that I need something. I'm not mentally in a good space at this point. And so I definitely know that it had a negative impact on me in some ways, but the one thing I will say is that I was always able to kind of draw upon what I'm going through as I'm
Hmm.
communicating to people. So there was never like I don't feel authentic when I'm saying the things I'm saying. Like, I believe everything I talk about, I believe in, but like in those parts, like, I think, especially in the very beginning when you're trying to sell people on it, I'm literally tapping into, it feels real. Like, I
Hmm.
can tell it feels real. It feels real to me every time I do it. And so I can tell, like, oh, this is when people start closing their laptops. Like, oh, I thought I was going to do some work done. I'm actually going to pay attention to this, because I'm speaking, from the soul, essentially, when it comes to these things. And so I think it's always important to align yourself with something to where you're speaking from your soul more than anything else. Because if people feel the authenticity of what you're saying, that I don't know if I agree with you, but I know you believe it. And I think that's really what you need to be able to try to establish in this
Right.
situation.
And nobody is one dimensional. Like
Yes.
we all walk into a room, and if it is with your passion and all of that, but you also bring that phone call. And then after that phone call, you had to go back and show up again. And
That
that
was
must have been
definitely.
one of your hardest days to have to go back and show up and have to go, I have to compartmentalize this and go show up and be hurting so deeply inside, and
It
how
was
you
rough.
deal with that as a human and a professional. That's just the complexity of life,
And the thing about it is, no one knows what's happening.
right?
Like, and sometimes I'll get up and say, like, hey, something, this is what's going. I try to be honest
Hmm.
with the audience, like what I did in Southbury. Like, I'm just being honest with y'all,
Yeah.
like, about what's going on. And but that was one of those where, nah, that's the vulnerability that, at that moment I wasn't prepared to have. But what's funny about that is, I did a workshop. No, I did a training at a school in Minnesota once, and I shared this story when I was about what happened. with them, it came up in the training. And so then one of the principals comes up to me the next day when we're doing it for the whole staff with his wife. And he was like, "Hey, when you mentioned that yesterday, I wanted to let you know that we went through IVF too. And this was I went back a moment. I told you said that I texted my wife and I went back and told her like, hey, this is, he went through this and this is, so we basically sat there and we shared stories and like, we always will have that. I don't know if I ever talk to them again, but we'll always have that connection. We literally shared 45 minutes together of just talking about like an experience that most people never would understand. But you're able to now have people that have lived a similar situation as you. So that was one of those things.
And it does make you feel less alone.
Yes,
When someone
absolutely.
else says, yeah, when those counts go down, I felt that moment for you. That human connection, no matter what you're doing professionally, personally, makes you feel less alone. And that circles back to that concept of sense of belonging, where them connecting with you and being seen, like you were seen in that moment as somebody who had had these trials and they said, hey, us too. That makes a huge difference. That sense of belonging, that sense of I'm not alone, that is the community. And that's the community, again, to circle back, that every school should have. Nobody should feel alone. All kids should be seen. All families should be seen. And that is my passion. And I just need to share this passion. And it's really what's driving me right now.
Absolutely. So I think you have a great opportunity to do, and hopefully, like the information that we talked about will at least kind of help drive
For
some of
sure. I
the
am
different
so
things.
grateful for
Yeah.
everything you said.
And one thing you also will see is the conversation we have with other people, and now you'll be able to take all that content together. And
Mhm.
one thing I'm also considering doing after we do these first few with different people and get the information out there, if there's good reception by people of it, I'm definitely open-minded to creating a master class and doing some things to be able to truly be able to help people get to that point that they want to get to, whatever that may be when it comes to
Mhm.
things. And so definitely be on the lookout for those things, and you'll
For
be,
sure.
of course, you'll see those different things when they come out. But
Mhm.
one thing I want to do is just say thank you for your time. It was a pleasure being able to speak with you, being able to share this information with you. I think you're definitely got great potential in being able to, based on just the questions that you ask, you kind of, I think I tell you did your research and you know what to ask. So I think that you are in a definitely in a good situation. And I think just kind of figure out where you want to go. And I think, where do you live in Massachusetts, but
Yeah.
what's the closest city to you?
So we are in Western Mass, which like there's actually life after Worcester. Like we're keep going,
So,
toward
so you're
like keep
closer to
going.
like Albany,
So
New York, essentially.
not really. Boston would be the closest
Boston
city.
would be your closest.
Yeah,
So what?
I mean, like technically Springfield would be our closest city, Worcester, but like for a true hub would be Boston.
So what I would look at doing, lastly, this
Hmm.
is that I would looking at one thing about Boston. Boston gets a lot of conferences. One
Yep.
thing I would do is look at all the conferences that are coming to Boston that align with whatever you want to focus on, and
Hmm.
submit proposals to present at those
Yep.
conferences in Boston, because it's not a barrier for you to be able to get there.
Right.
And then you'll have a lot of different people in the New England area, because I know the New England area, Boston is the biggest hub. You get people from Maine to
Hmm.
come, you get New Hampshire, you get Vermont, and then you get Connecticut, and people from New York will still come up, and upstate New York
Hmm.
in particular will come. So I think you'll be able to you can kind of plant your tentacles regionally if you play your cards right, and using the Boston angle, or even the different cities, whether it's
Hmm.
Boston, you can maybe do. I think if I'm gonna go on a limb, I would say probably Albany gets more than Hartford of different
Probably.
things, because Hartford's airport just isn't necessarily a major,
Right.
so it's not conducive for doing a lot of those things. But I think
Hmm.
Albany, it's not major, but it's the capital city in New York, and there's not a lot of upstate. There's not a lot of good options for places upstate. You
Hmm.
can go. Buffalo has better options than maybe Rochester and Syracuse, but at the end of the day, Albany being the capital, just it's
Right.
more, you can get the Connecticut people, upstate northern New York, even western New York, but you
Hmm.
also get Vermont, western Massachusetts, and all those places. So I think I would look at kind of like trying to like Albany and Boston to try to be able to branch and get your tentacles out there, and just go from there.
That sounds great. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your time. Your groceries are going to melt and now you're in trouble, but that's all right. That's but no, thank you so much. The advice and kind of some of the validation I really appreciate. And again, feeling less alone on this journey and talking to somebody who's made a success with it, I really, really appreciate, because I do think the world needs more people who have passion, and the world of education needs people to come in to say, hey, we got this. Let's team together. We got this. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it, Kelvin.
All right, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.